The signal. The vast emptiness of space stretched before the scientific vessel Artemis as it conducted its routine survey mission in the outer reaches of human territory. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the main viewport. 20 years in space had not diminished her wonder of the cosmos, but it had sharpened her instincts. "Commander, we're picking up something unusual," Lieutenant Patil said from the communication station. "A repeating pattern on an emergency frequency. It's faint, barely there." Elena moved to the station. Source. "It appears to be coming from Outpost Sigma 9, near the Arcturus system. But that's strange." Patel frowned. "Sigma 9 isn't scheduled for communication for another week." "Boost the signal," Elena ordered. Something cold settled in her stomach. Sigma 9 was a research outpost with over 300 personnel, positioned at the very edge of explored space. They maintained strict communication protocols. The signal grew clearer, but remained fragmented. A voice, distorted and broken, filled the bridge. "Under attack. Unknown vessels. They're harvesting, not killing. Studying. Earth must prepare. They're coming." Silence fell across the bridge. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "When was this sent?" she asked. Patil worked his console. "Signal degradation indicates." "Commander, this message was transmitted 4 days ago." Elena straightened. "Contact Earth Command immediately. Then set course for Sigma 9, maximum speed." "Commander," First Officer Liu spoke up. "Protocol dictates we report and await instructions." "This could be." "I know the protocol," Elena interrupted. "Send the report. But we're going to Sigma 9. Those are our people out there." 6 hours later, the response from Earth Command arrived. "Maintain position. Do not approach Sigma 9. Military vessels being dispatched. Estimated arrival, 72 hours." Elena read the message twice, then looked at her senior officers gathered in the conference room. Opinions. Dr. Marcus Chen, the ship's chief scientist, spoke first. "If there are survivors, they won't last 72 hours. And if there aren't survivors," added Security Chief Diaz, "whatever attacked them could still be there. The Artemis isn't a warship, Commander." Elena nodded. "We're not going in guns blazing. We'll approach cautiously, maintain stealth protocols, and gather intelligence. If the threat is present, we retreat immediately." She looked at each of them. "This isn't just about potential survivors. We need to know what we're facing." No one objected further. As the Artemis dropped out of FTL near Arcturus, they immediately engaged stealth systems. Outpost Sigma 9 orbited the system's 4th planet, a gas giant with numerous moons. The outpost itself was built into one of the larger moons, using the natural radiation from the gas giant as a shield against detection. "Visual range in 30 seconds, Patil announced, tension evident in his voice. The main screen activated, and Elena felt her blood run cold. Outpost Sigma 9 had been breached in multiple locations. The habitat domes were shattered, exposed to the vacuum. But it wasn't simple destruction. The damage was precise, surgical. Sections had been removed as if cut away by an impossibly sharp blade. "Life signs?" Elena asked, already knowing the answer. "None detected," Liu replied quietly. "What the hell happened here?" Diaz whispered. Dr. Chen was studying the sensor readings. "These cuts, they're too precise for conventional weapons. And look at the edges. There's no heat signature residue. Whatever did this didn't use lasers or plasma." Elena made her decision. "Prepare a team. Full EVA suits, weapons, and scientific equipment. We need to know what happened." The landing team. Elena, Chen, Diaz, and 2 security specialists approached the outpost in a shuttle. Up close, the damage was even more disturbing. Entire sections had been removed with perfect geometric precision, as if someone had used a cookie cutter on the station's hull. They entered through one of the breaches, magnetic boots keeping them anchored as they moved through the airless corridors. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow on the scene. "Where are the bodies?" Diaz asked, sweeping his light across the empty habitat module. Chen checked his scanner. No biological residue either. It's as if everyone just disappeared. They moved deeper into the facility, toward the central command center. The doors were sealed, but functional. Chen bypassed the security, and they entered. Unlike the rest of the station, the command center was intact, with emergency power still running. And most surprising, it still had atmosphere. "Seal your suits," Elena ordered. "We don't know what might be in the air." At the central console, they found what they were looking for. The station's commander, Dr. Eliza Warren, had recorded a final log. Her face appeared on screen, haggard and terrified. "This is likely my final report. They came without warning. 3 vessels unlike anything we've encountered. At first, they just watched us. For 2 days, they observed our outpost, scanning us constantly. We tried to communicate. They never responded. Then they began taking sections of the outpost, precise extractions with everyone inside. No warnings, no demands. They took Research Lab 4 first. 42 people, gone in seconds. We tried to evacuate, to fight back. Nothing worked. Our weapons had no effect. We've managed to gather some data. They're studying us, cataloging us. Like specimens, this isn't random. It's methodical. And we've detected their communications. They're sending data somewhere, coordinates that point toward the core systems, toward Earth. I've attached all our findings to this message. If anyone receives this, Earth must prepare. They're not just taking us. They're harvesting information, learning about humanity. And once they've learned enough..." The recording ended abruptly. Elena felt sick. "Download everything," she ordered Chen. "We need to get this back to Earth immediately." A low vibration suddenly ran through the station. Diaz's scanner began beeping urgently. "Movement outside," he reported. 3 large objects approaching from behind the moon. Chen's face went pale as he looked at his own scanner. "Commander, energy signatures match the descriptions from the log. They're back. Everyone to the shuttle. Now," Elena commanded. They raced through the corridors, the vibrations growing stronger. Through the breaches in the hull, Elena saw them. 3 massive vessels, smooth and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They were unlike any ship design humans had ever encountered, with no visible propulsion systems, weapons, or even entry points. As they reached their shuttle, the nearest alien vessel extended what looked like a tendril of pure darkness toward the station. Where it touched, matter simply disappeared, absorbed into the tendril. "They're harvesting again," Chen whispered in horror. The shuttle launched, engines at maximum burn. Elena watched as the tendril withdrew, taking another section of the outpost with it. Then, as if sensing their escape, all 3 vessels oriented toward them. "Evasive maneuvers," Elena shouted as the helmsman weaved the shuttle through debris. "We need to reach the Artemis." The alien vessels began to move, smooth and impossibly fast despite their size. One extended a tendril toward them, missing by meters. "They're hurting us," Diaz realized. "Cutting off our route back to the Artemis." Elena made a split-second decision. "Emergency Protocol Omega. Send the data burst to the Artemis with instructions to return to Earth immediately. We'll draw them away." The shuttle changed course, diving toward the gas giant's outer atmosphere. The alien vessels followed, exactly as Elena had hoped. "Artemis confirms receipt," the helmsman reported. "They're preparing for emergency FTL jump." On the view screen, Elena watched the Artemis disappear into FTL. At least the information would reach Earth. But now they were alone, their small shuttle facing 3 massive alien vessels above a gas giant's swirling storms. "What now, Commander?" Diaz asked quietly. Elena studied the alien ships. They were powerful, advanced, but they were still following predictable pursuit patterns. They study before they take, she murmured. So let's show them something they haven't studied. She turned to the helmsman. Dive into the atmosphere. Full power to forward shields. The shuttle can't withstand those pressures for long, he warned. We don't need long, Elena replied. Just long enough to surprise them. The shuttle plunged into the upper atmosphere of the gas giant, the alien vessels following more cautiously now. As the pressure increased and the shuttle began to groan, Elena watched the scanner carefully. Hold, hold. Now. Full reverse thrusters, hard turn starboard. The shuttle lurched violently, suddenly changing direction and shooting out from the cloud layer directly toward the nearest alien vessel. For a crucial moment, the alien ships seemed confused by the unpredictable maneuver. Full power to engines, Elena ordered. Plot a course around the moon. We need to create enough distance for an emergency FTL jump. As they raced away, Elena realized something crucial. The aliens hadn't expected that move. They hadn't anticipated human unpredictability. It was a small advantage, but perhaps the only one humanity would have in the coming conflict. Because one thing was clear as they finally escaped into FTL, carrying their crucial intelligence. Earth was about to face a threat unlike anything in human history. The response. The emergency session of the United Earth Council erupted into chaos when Admiral Chen presented the evidence from Outpost Sigma 9. Delegates shouted over each other, some demanding immediate military action, others insisting on attempted diplomatic contact, and still others refusing to believe the threat was real at all. Silence, demanded Secretary General Okafor, her powerful voice cutting through the noise. This is not the time for petty politics. We've all seen the evidence. These harvesters have already taken hundreds of our people, and according to Commander Reyes' report, they're methodically working their way toward Earth. Admiral Chen stepped forward. The Artemis data confirms they've already taken 3 more outposts since Sigma 9. Their pattern is consistent. They observe, study, then harvest. They're learning about us with each encounter. What about Commander Reyes and her team? Asked the Russian delegate. Still missing, Chen replied grimly. We've sent search vessels, but there's no trace of their shuttle. The Chinese delegate stood. What makes us think we can fight these beings? Their technology is clearly far beyond ours. Because we must, replied Dr. Amara Singh, Earth's leading xenobiologist. And because Commander Reyes showed us something crucial, they can be surprised. They study patterns, expect logical responses. Human unpredictability confuses them. Secretary General Okafor nodded. Dr. Singh has been developing a response strategy based on this insight. Doctor, please continue. Dr. Singh activated a holographic display. The harvesters operate on logic and pattern recognition. They study a species, predict responses, then harvest efficiently. But humans have something they apparently don't understand: improvisation, intuition, even a logical self-sacrifice. I propose the formation of the United Defense Initiative. Not just a military force, but a multidisciplinary approach. Unconventional tactics, technological countermeasures, and psychological warfare designed to confound predictive analysis. The hologram showed schematics for new ship designs, weapon systems, and battle strategies that defied conventional military doctrine. This is madness, the European delegate protested. You're suggesting we fight an advanced alien species with chaos. Precisely, replied Dr. Singh. Because chaos is the one thing they don't seem to understand. After 3 days of debate, the United Defense Initiative was approved. Admiral Chen was appointed its commander, with Dr. Singh as chief strategist. Every nation contributed resources, setting aside old rivalries in the face of extinction. 6 months later, humanity had transformed. Shipyards that once built commercial vessels now produced warships with unconventional designs. Scientists developed technologies based on the limited data from the harvesters, focusing on disrupting their matter absorption capabilities and developing shields that could resist their tendrils. But the harvesters continued their advance, taking colony after colony at the edges of human space. Each encounter provided more data, revealing that the aliens operated on strict patterns. They always studied for the same duration, always harvested in the same sequence, always responded to resistance with the same countermeasures. Then came the battle at Proxima Centauri, humanity's closest stellar neighbor and home to over 1 million colonists. The UDI fleet arrived just as the harvesters began their observation phase. Admiral Chen's voice was calm as he addressed the fleet. Remember your training. Conventional tactics will fail. Be unpredictable. Be human. What followed would later be called the Battle of Beautiful Chaos. Human ships executed maneuvers that defied tactical logic. Some rammed directly into harvester vessels. Others shut down all systems to appear dead, then reactivated at crucial moments. Weapons were fired at seemingly random intervals rather than optimal ones. For the first time, the harvesters seemed confused. Their responses slowed as they tried to identify patterns where none existed. When they extended their absorption tendrils, human ships launched special disruptor pods that Dr. Singh had developed, devices that created localized reality distortions, causing the tendrils to twist back upon themselves. The battle lasted 3 days. Humanity lost 47 ships and thousands of lives. But when it ended, 2 harvester vessels had been destroyed, and the third retreated. It was humanity's first victory. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching the debris field where once invincible alien ships now drifted in pieces. Analysis, he asked Dr. Singh. Their technology is still superior, she admitted, but their thought processes are rigid. They couldn't adapt to our chaotic approach. Each time they established a predictive model, we changed tactics. Chen nodded. And the captured technology, already being studied. We're learning how their matter absorption works. It's not destruction, it's transfer. They're storing everything they harvest, including our people, Chen said grimly. News of the victory spread across human space, igniting hope. But the war was far from over. The harvesters returned 2 months later with a larger fleet, attacking multiple systems simultaneously. They had adapted, incorporating some unpredictability into their tactics. But so had humanity. The UDI unveiled its next phase, the Ghost Fleet, ships equipped with experimental technology reverse-engineered from the harvester debris. These vessels could partially phase out of normal space, becoming temporarily immune to the absorption tendrils. The war escalated. Battles raged across dozens of star systems. Humanity lost colonies but held the line at others. The harvesters continued to adapt, but always a step behind human innovation. What they gained in technological superiority, they lost in creative thinking. Then came the breakthrough. A UDI science team led by Dr. Elena Reyes, rescued from the gas giant where she'd hidden her shuttle, decoded the harvesters' communication signals. What they discovered changed everything. They're not individuals, she explained to the UDI command. They're extensions of a single consciousness, a network mind that processes information in strict patterns. And we found its location. The final battle took place in a star system with no name, just coordinates, around a dead star where the harvesters had built something massive. A central hub that coordinated all their vessels. The combined UDI fleet arrived not with overwhelming force, but with a single ship, the Pandora, carrying a device that Dr. Rice and Dr. Singh had developed together. As the harvester vessels surrounded them, the Pandora activated the device, a signal that mimicked harvester communications, but carried something the aliens had never encountered. Paradoxes, koans, unsolvable puzzles, and concepts fundamentally alien to their pattern-based consciousness. The effect was immediate and devastating. The harvester vessels froze, their systems trying to process information that defied their fundamental understanding of reality. It was the digital equivalent of cognitive dissonance on a massive scale. When Admiral Chen gave the order to attack, The battle was swift and decisive. The harvester vessels, unable to coordinate or respond effectively, were destroyed one by one. The central hub, when finally breached, revealed the truth: storage banks containing everything the harvesters had absorbed, including thousands of humans, preserved but unconscious. In the aftermath, as recovery operations began and families were reunited with those thought lost forever, Dr. Rice stood with Admiral Chen on the observation deck of the Defiance, watching Earth grow larger in the viewscreen as they returned home. What were they? Chen asked quietly. What was their purpose? Rice shook her head. We may never fully understand. Their consciousness was so alien, built on perfect patterns and predictability. Perhaps they simply couldn't comprehend a species that embraced chaos and illogic as strengths. Chen nodded slowly. We saved ourselves by being human, by being imperfect. Yes, Rice agreed. And now the galaxy knows something important about humanity. What's that? She smiled grimly. That we answer distress calls. And when our people call for help, humanity responds with fury. As news of the victory spread across Earth and its colonies, humanity looked to the stars with new confidence. The war had forced technological leaps that would have taken centuries otherwise. It had united a fractured species under a common purpose, and it had proven that in a universe of threats, humanity's greatest strength might be its beautiful, unpredictable chaos. The SOS that had triggered humanity's total war response had led not just to survival, but to humanity's emergence as a galactic power that even the most advanced species would think twice before challenging again. Admiral, the Coalition Council has received your report. The demonstration of the Sentinel Fleet's capabilities has changed things. We nodded gravely. The facade is over, Madam President. For better or worse, the galaxy now knows our true strength. The Arcturus ambassador has already requested an emergency summit. The other civilizations are unsettled. And the Voidborn. Quan's expression darkened. Intelligence suggests what we encountered was merely an advance force. Long-range sensors have detected unusual energy signatures from beyond the Perseus Arm, possibly a larger fleet gathering. The Sentinels will be ready, Wyatt assured her. I know they will, Admiral. She paused, her gaze distant. For 50 years, we've hidden our greatest achievements, presenting ourselves as technological underdogs while building in secret. Some will call it deception, others prudence. And what do you call it, Madam President? A thin smile touched her lips. I call it humanity's nature, Admiral. We hope for peace but prepare for war. We extend one hand in friendship while keeping the other near our weapon. It's how we've survived this long. As the communication ended, Wyatt returned to the observation dome. Below, teams were carefully extracting samples from the remnant, perhaps unlocking secrets that would propel humanity even further ahead technologically. The galaxy had changed today. The careful balance of power, maintained through humanity's deliberate technological restraint, had been irrevocably altered. Some civilizations would seek alliance, recognizing the value of Earth's protection against the Voidborn threat. Others would react with fear, perhaps even hostility. But one thing was certain: humanity would never again be underestimated. In the vast control center beneath Olympus Mons, Admiral Elena Donovan watched as reports flooded in from across Coalition space. Colonial governors demanded information. Military outposts requested guidance, and from a dozen alien civilizations came messages ranging from congratulations to veiled threats. A junior officer approached, offering a datapad. Admiral, we've decrypted more of the remnant's data. You'll want to see this immediately. Donovan scanned the information, her eyes widening. The remnant wasn't just a repository, it was a warning. The progenitors hadn't vanished. They had fled, escaping something even they couldn't defeat. Something the Voidborn had awakened in their quest for power. Contact Admiral Chen, she ordered, her voice steady despite the chill settling in her spine. The Voidborn aren't the real threat. They're just the harbingers. As humanity prepared for a war they had just decisively won, a greater darkness stirred at the edge of the galaxy, drawn by the energies released in the battle for the remnant. The true test of humanity's secret strength was yet to come.